backdrop for folks to go within.
Mm-hmm. Well, and when you're deciding what drumstick to use or what to use on the gong, would you say that information's coming from source?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, that before I sit down to play, I don't have any preconceived cadence or rhythm or anything in mind that essentially, and it may sound a little esoteric, but essentially I let the gong kind of lead me to what I'll play next.
It reminds me of the book Zen and the Art of Archery.
Okay.
And so the archer was studying with a great master, and one day he hits a bullseye, and then the master comes by, breaks his bow, and then for like a year or two he kept coming back to the master. Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? And so finally the master said, well, you cheated, you aimed.
Oh.
Meaning the ego aimed for the bullseye instead of the bullseye taking over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for you, it's obviously a meditation, but what about your listeners? Do they get to enjoy the same benefits of meditation, quieting the mind, slowing the heart rate, lowering the blood pressure, slowing the brain waves down? Do your listeners experience the same effect?
Yes. You know, I do events at a variety of places, holistic centers, yoga studios, churches, chiropractic care centers.
Ever do a wedding?
No, but I'm open.
I think that'd be real cool.
Yeah, it would. It would be a nice experience to have a meditation during a wedding ceremony.
Well, I've been to some beautiful weddings where they had harps, but
yes.
I could see where a gong could have the same effect.
Yes, indeed. Well, you know, your question about the attendees, folks who come to the events, another gong practitioner I know, a gentleman named Michael Bettine, he put it very well in that so much of our days are ruled by our clocks, you know, and our weeks are ruled by our monthly calendars and whatnot. And as a society, we don't take enough time to just simply be. And I feel that the gong meditations are an opportunity for folks to take an hour and sit comfortably or lay on the floor and allow the sound of the gong and the drum just to kind of carry them away. And it has a very powerful, relaxing effect.
Now, I have attended gong meditations in the past, and I've had very powerful experiences, very calming, relaxing experiences. And I have listened to gong meditations as part of my meditation, but I feel that gong meditations are most powerful when you're in the room with the gong and with a group of people. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, I think there's a certain group dynamic that takes place. There's a group energy that formulates when everyone is together with the intention of meditating, first of all. And second of all, the gong itself is emitting sound and energy waves, and those waves and that vibration is permeating the space. And because you've been to events in the past that I would imagine you've been in rooms maybe that were large or small, and it doesn't really matter, somehow the gong seems to really thickly permeate the space, and it's really a wonderful feeling. Now, listening to it on CD can also be very beneficial, and I've had folks comment on the fact that when they listen to the CDs at home, there's almost like a cellular memory that takes place where your body says, yes, I remember how that feels in person, and so then you're able to receive some of the benefits at home.
Do you sell CDs? Have you recorded and
sell
them?
Yes, yeah, I have 4 CDs that I've released over the past 3 years.
And are they, I wish you would have brought one to show our audience.
Oh, okay.
Are they for different purposes, or just different meditations?
I think the best way to describe it is two of the events that I did were recorded were live events that I did at Unity Church in Batavia, and they were done about a year apart. And I think they just capture that time in that space with that group of people, and both of those recordings have a nice, spacious, sort of airy quality to them because they were done in this cathedral setting. And when I sit down to play, I don't really have any sort of like, this meditation would be based on wellness for the body or something, or this meditation would be focused on nature, or this meditation would be focused on source energy or God. It's more of, I feel that my role is to provide the backdrop and let people do their own meditation and go on their own journey.
Do you do any other types of meditation besides Gong?
Well, in my personal life, I've been practicing transcendental meditation since I was 12.
And is it okay to ask you what your age is?
I'm 48.
So you've been doing it 36 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, did you find TM by yourself, or do your parents lead you to it?
Actually, my father and my stepmother was a teacher of TM. And through my, association with her and getting initiated and having a family full of meditators, I ended up attending Maharishi International University, which is in Fairfield, Iowa, and I have a degree from there in comparative literature.
Oh, and isn't part of the curriculum you get together once or twice a day to meditate?
Twice a day, and folks meditate generally for about an hour and a half.
It's interesting. You're the first person I've ever met there. I've known people to go there and visit. But if I do it all over again, I would seriously consider that school.
Yes.
It must have been a wonderful experience.
It was. As a young man, I knew about myself that I just wasn't wired to attend a big state school and be in a class of 300 kids. I was more interested in a smaller class sizes, more of a liberal arts education. And when I was 18, I grew up in Southern California. I went to Iowa to work on staff, and at that time they were building these 2 large meditation domes. And so I went there, worked on staff, gained some tuition credits and whatnot, and then returned the next year as a student.
Do you ever go back there?
Yes, I do. Actually, my dad lives there now. He's retired and has decided to just live more of a spiritually focused, quiet lifestyle.
And when you get together with your mom and dad, do you meditate together?
Yeah, occasionally, yes, yeah. Yeah, I feel very fortunate to have been exposed to that's a sense of spirituality at such a young age, and I really have to give praise and heartfelt thanks to my father for being courageous and being a forward thinker and realizing that part of life is to be a whole person and to develop your intellectual self, develop your spiritual self, develop your emotional self. And so my father was a great role model in that.
What would you consider the principles or percepts of transcendental meditation?
Boy, that's a big question. The best way that I can describe it is that transcendental meditation is a form of meditation that is mantra-based. And a mantra is, in essence, a meaningless sound that when we put our attention on it, we put our attention on it, it allows the mind to settle down. And when the mind settles down, the body follows. Heart rate decreases, breath rate decreases. And actually, the years that I spent meditating, I think have, how would I describe it? It's enabled me to sink into this work of sound and vibration in a way that I can sit even just for 20 seconds before I do an event and breathe and clear my head. And the mantra sometimes comes that I was given as a boy, and I'm just able to, and then I'm able to really be of service to the group that I'm sharing sharing this with.
20 seconds isn't a long time, but it's the result of a lifetime of practice.
Yeah, and they call it a meditation practice because it is a practice. That there are days when you try to close your eyes and be in a settled, harmonious space, and you think but you can't get there, and you're thinking about bills and your to-do list and all that. And then there are times, as you said, through practice, you're able to, or one is able to close their eyes and find a settled, peaceful place.
So when did you go, how did you go from transcendental meditation into Gong meditation?
Well, that started about 3.5 years ago. And a good friend of mine called me out of the blue one day and said, "Would you like to go to a Gong bath?" And I was like, what? And when I heard the word bath, I thought, well, do I need to bring a towel and a bathing suit?